How's it going, everybody? On the Real, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows Spoilers Review. Today, on the Razman's Reality. That's right, folks. This one is spoilers. So if you have not seen this film and you don't want spoilers, there's the card right there for my non-spoiler or no spoiler review. Even though I said non-spoiler in the intro, I actually called it no spoilers because it just makes the title a bit shorter and makes YouTube able to get the whole title in better. So yeah, my no spoilers or non-spoilers review is right there. If you have a card, make sure you click on that and then don't watch this one until you see the film. But if you want to go ahead and give it a like right now, feel free to go ahead and do so. Okay, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Going into this, tried very hard not to watch trailers. The one trailer that I did see gave away too much for me because, oh my god, Krang is in a Ninja Turtles movie, and you know what? The suit kind of looks like what you would have if you sort of did a bunch of CGI work on the 80s cartoon Krang. Like, this is gonna be cool, right? And then as more time went on, you couldn't avoid pictures, so you're like, oh my god, Bebop and Rocksteady are in the film. So we're finally getting Krang and Bebop and Rocksteady, and even though the versions that people remember the most were all creations of the 80s and 90s cartoon, I mean, that's what we want. Those are the turtles that the majority of the world knows. The majority of the world didn't read the comics first. They read the comics way after seeing the original cartoon. The ones that grew up on the 2003 series loved it because it was closer to the comic, but this is still a movie marketed toward kids. So what do you want for kids? You want silliness and happiness and bubbliness. So I'm like the 80s and 90s cartoon brought to life. That's what I want to see in a Ninja Turtles movie. I'm actually kind of excited about this. And then I started looking at the close-ups of the Turtles' design, and while they still are ginormous and still way too big for my taste and the taste of just about anybody else I know, they look like turtles and they move like turtles. They don't look like human beings that have green skin anymore. So I thought, man, this is really going to be cool. I'm really liking this. And then they really blew my mind away because they were like, not only are you getting Bebop, Rocksteady, and Krang for the first time, you're getting freaking Baxter Stockman in this film. It's the version that's more true to the comics because he's African American in this incarnation, which was kind of strange because they were really drawing a big amount of inspiration from the 80s and 90s cartoons, so you would have thought Baxter would have been white, but I was still really excited to see Baxter Stockman in a film. So I was just like mind blown. They really heard the fans' outcries, and they're really trying to retcon everything they did wrong with the first film and give us a good film. So what happened? Well, let's talk about it. First thing you notice is how much freaking better Leonardo's voice is in this film. The actor playing Leonardo in this film is the same actor that does all the motion capture work. And if you have the Blu-ray, like I said in my non-spoiler review as well, if you have the Blu-ray for this and you watch the special features, you know that the 4 guys who played the Ninja Turtles in the first film and in this film are all huge fans of the characters. They really wanted to make a good Ninja Turtles film. They just got saddled with a bad script in the first film. It was nothing that they did wrong. So, no more Johnny Knoxville. A voice that sounds and feels like Leonardo because it's played as a fan of Leonardo, so automatically you're into it more. There's a thing in the opening credits where they set up the characterization of each of the turtles, like what their personality is. That's very much like a comic book type thing to do. You see the turtles up in the rafters at a New York Knicks game and see them being silly right from the very beginning, and you're like, yes, this is gonna work. So you start to get into the main plot line of the story, and you realize that after the events of the last film, because the last film does still exist in canon, it is still a sequel, even though a lot of it was retcon. But after the events of the last film, the Turtles struck a deal with Vernon, and had Vernon take credit for taking down Shredder at the end of the last film. Shredder and Eric Sachs, which had no mention at all, which proves the point that I had said way back when I reviewed the first film, which if you want to see that, the card for that is going to be in the video as well. But what I said back then was this was very clearly supposed to be Shredder, the Eric Sachs character, until so many people had a huge outcry and said, you can't have a white Shredder, Shredder's gotta be Japanese, I mean, come on, it's Shredder. So they were like, okay, well, the movie's already been made, how can we fix it? Oh, we'll just have them do a bunch of voiceover work, we'll call the character Eric Sachs, and we'll get a random Japanese guy to play Shredder and have Eric Sachs, quote unquote, be a servant of Shredder. But there was no mention of Eric Sachs at all in this film, it was just Shredder. So they're trying to wipe your memory as much as they can of that. And the guy who plays Shredder in this film, it's a new Shredder. He's played by Brian T. He does a fan-freaking-tastic job as Shredder in this movie. Fantastic. So, yeah. Even though the first film does exist as far as setting up the story, most all of it has been retconned. But anyway, got sidetracked with some stuff I meant to say for later, but yeah, the Turtles strike that deal with Vern Fenwick. Vern Fenwick is taking credit for bringing down the Shredder at the end of the first film, so there's some shenanigans that go on there. And then as the Turtles are making their way back to their home in the sewer system, Michelangelo looks out and he notices that there's a Halloween parade going on. And he's like, I always wanted to be in the Halloween parade because it's the one time where we'd fit in. They're not going to say anything about us being these giant mutant turtles. They're not going to be scared of us because we look like we're in a Halloween costume. So you start thinking, oh man, are they going to do something really stupid here with this whole plot line? Are they going to have a whole thing where the turtles wish they were human and then try to become human maybe and realize at the end, oh, we're better off being turtles? Yep. That's a plot line in this. So I said in my non-spoiler review it gets an 8 out of 10. Well, there's one of your star strikeout points right there, or one of your number strikeout points right there. There was a whole subplot about if the mutagen that turned Bebop and Rocksteady into mutants can turn them from humans into mutants, could it be reverse engineered, and turn us turtles into human beings? And how do we feel about that? Let's have Leonardo and Donatello realize it's a bad idea. Let's have Raphael and Michelangelo kind of want to be human. And there's a whole arc of, by the end, they realize they belong as turtles and the turtles are who they are. Completely unfreaking necessary plot. Just the stupidest thing that did not need to be in this movie at all. Completely shoehorned. It was completely, like I said in my non-spoiler review, there are things about this film that is clearly Hollywood thinking they can't make a 100% film about crazy fictional comic book or television long-running characters. They have to make a film that the average movie-going public is going to enjoy and understand. This is what happened with that. This was them going, okay, we need some kind of story element that the average Joe Schmo, who just basically the parents who bring their little kids to see this film, are going to be able to understand and follow from a story aspect, especially if they didn't go see the first one and they got dragged to the second one. Like, we need something for them to gravitate toward and follow, so let's shoehorn in this ridiculous storyline. So that's what that was, and it made me so mad and so angry, and there was just no point to it at all. It's like, if that's going to be in there, here's what they should have done. They should have 100% committed to it. They should have had a moment, a very brief moment, where we saw the guys that are under the motion capture suits that are really enthusiastic about being Turtles fans. I've always wanted to be in a Turtles movie. I've always wanted to play the Turtles. You get to see them on screen for 2 or 3 minutes without their Turtles costume playing the Turtles. That would have at least made it a lot more tolerable than, oh, we're just going to put this side plot in there and then not even have the Turtles even remotely be human for more than 30 seconds on screen where Donatello's hand turns somewhat human. That was my biggest pet peeve. And then we find out that Shredder is being transported from one prison to another, about to receive his death sentence, and we meet some cops on the beat, and then the lieutenant, or whatever ranking he was, of that section of the police force, says, "All yours, Jones." And there we see Arrow, Casey Jones, aka Stephen Amell, in his full flesh. And right there is my other problem with this film. My other big problem with this film was the characterization of Casey Jones. I expected them to do a slow build to Casey Jones. I expected him not to be as fleshed out as the 90s version of Casey Jones was that we saw in live action. I expected him not to be as good as the 80s series and the 2003 series portrayed him as, even in the Nickelodeon series. I expected all that to happen. What I didn't expect was for them to change his whole dynamic. The thing that makes Casey Jones work is, as a longtime fan of the Turtles will tell you, is that he's basically a turtle that's a human. That's who Casey Jones is. He's a turtle that's a human. He's an outcast. He doesn't fit in with society. He goes out and dresses like a vigilante because he doesn't trust anything the police force does. In this, it's like, oh, I want to be a cop, but they don't trust my eyewitness account of what happened with when the Shredder escaped and all the awesome things I saw from the Turtle van. So they kicked me out of the police force, so now I gotta go in line with the Turtles and do some quote-unquote vigilantism instead of being a cop. It just didn't need to happen, and it was really disappointing. However, the Casey Jones character in itself is not annoying in the film. Like I said, it's just planting the seeds for who Casey Jones would be in the future of the franchise. He's not really fleshed out, but for being a guy that's just suddenly thrown in to this crazy situation where he has to trust April O'Neil and 4 huge mutant turtles and a giant rat named Splinter, he does a very good job in the film. It was really strange actually seeing Stephen Amell be funny, because we're also used to him being Arrow and how serious he is in that role. So it was actually really cool and kind of fun to see Stephen Amell being funny. I really like the portrayal of the character. I just thought the character was very shoehorned into the film, especially with the way that they portrayed him. So hopefully, if we do get a third film, he'll be much more fleshed out, much more like the Casey Jones that he should be. But Stephen Amell does a great job in the film, so he's not a bad part of the film, just got stuck with a bad script for the character that he is actually portraying within the film. So the Shredder, instead of getting teleported, because Baxter Stockman had rigged up a teleportation device, and that's where we get the obligatory sexual innuendo shot by April O'Neil as Megan Fox as April O'Neil. Sorry. That's where we get that whole sexy schoolgirl clip that I'm sure you've seen a million times in TV spots, was when April O'Neil was trying to use a watch that Donatello gave her to take stuff off his computer. That's where that whole sequence of events happens. So we learn that Baxter Stockman has rigged up a teleportation device and is supposed to teleport Shredder out of prison and away from the cops into his hideout, but instead Shredder gets teleported. Where is he teleported to? Krang! Krang, 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 Krang. Krang is in the movie. Krang, Krang, Krang is in the movie. And the guy playing Krang, he has a much deeper voice than Shredder. Bring me the turtles on a stick, Shredder. He has a much deeper voice than that, than what we're used to from the classic animated series. Did you like my Krang, by the way? I thought that was a very good Krang. Let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoyed my Krang impersonation there. But it's a much more deeper voice, but he's still talking like Krang. He's still saying, Shredder, you will help me with my plan. You will help me build the Technodrome, and I will conquer Earth. He still sounds a lot like Krang. It's just in a very deep, almost monotone type voice. So yeah, I give the actor props. He really did a really good job playing the voice of Krang in this movie. So he tells Shredder, you're gonna go and get this mutagen. We're gonna come out of Dimension X with the Technodrome, and we're gonna take over the planet. I don't know if they actually said Dimension X at all in this film. I really don't remember them saying it. I think maybe they're purposely saving the name Dimension X for if they ever show the actual dimension going forward in the franchise, but we all know it's Dimension X, so we're just gonna go ahead and call it what it is. So yeah, he's like, you're gonna bring me out of Dimension X with the Technodrome, we're gonna take over the planet. So Shredder goes off, does his thing. April's like telling the turtles what's going on, and turtles make an effort to stop Shredder, but before April can get to the turtles to tell turtles what Shredder's plan is, and before she can get a hold of the mutagen is of course used to create Bebop and Rocksteady, and that was right out of the early episodes of the original animated series. Other than the fact that the mutagen in the film is purple instead of green, I don't understand that at all. In no incarnation of the Ninja Turtles that I have ever seen in my life has mutagen ever been purple. So I don't know if they made it purple because they're like, everything's gonna be too green turtles, green everything. Let's make purple. Bebop's hair is purple in the film. Let's just do more purple, and that's probably why they did it. But yeah, other than that, other than the purple mutagen, it was right out of the cartoon. Everything about it worked. It was fantastic, except for they didn't have the rhinoceros and the warthog there with Bebop and Rocksteady. Instead, they had Tyler Perry as Baxter Stockman give, and we'll get into him, trust me. But they had him give an explanation of, if you come in contact with the mutagens, that will allow you to revert back to whatever animal you would have been if you were not a human. So, I understand why they did that. It was just a way for them not to have more on screen than they really needed to. And it was a more scientific and more kind of, I guess, cool and slick way to explain what went on. So I was okay with it, didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. So yeah, that was that. So Bebop and Rocksteady are there. They look great. Baxter's great in the movie. I thought that, like I said in the non-spoiler review of this, had to have taken huge inspiration from the hugest turtle fan on YouTube that we all know and love, Andre Meadows, aka Black Nerd Comedy. I thought they just told Tyler Perry, watch a bunch of videos of this guy and play this guy as you're playing Baxter Stockman. That was the vibe I got. It worked perfectly. I loved him. Bebop and Rocksteady were great on screen, but we only got Bebop and Rocksteady for one fight with the Turtles. So that falls right in there with Casey Jones and his character. I guess if I would have taken another half point off, it's too late to take another half point off now, but I kind of forgot that until I said it. They really only fought each other once the entire time. Did the Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady. The fight was great, but come on, we waited this long to get Bebop and Rocksteady in a film, and you're only going to give us one real fight. The rest of the time you're going to have them be with April O'Neil and Casey Jones. It's like, okay, well, why exactly are you doing that? Why couldn't you just give us more awesomeness with the Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady? But I digress. But yeah, they were great on screen. The Turtles eventually bring down Shredder and Krang, and they destroy the Technodrome and the city safe, and the police chief tries to get them to come out of the shadows. And like I said, there was that forced plot in the whole thing, and they realize, Turtles are who we are. Normal is not who we are. Who would want that? And that's how the movie ends. And overall, it was a great movie. But I said that there was going to be another point taken off besides Casey Jones and his whole characterization in the movie. And at that point that's taken off really has to go to Krang. Because Krang is in here to set up exposition, and he's in here for a final battle in which he frees Shredder, and then if you pay real close attention, you get great Easter eggs going forward for the franchise. The two main ones I saw were a Triceraton and Usagi Yojimbo. That's right, Usagi Yojimbo were both in that frozen area in Krang's laboratory. So hopefully we'll see both of those characters in future films going forward, if we do get future films. But Krang was there for a final battle and really was only on screen for 5 or 6 minutes total. This film could have worked a lot better if you would have just had Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder. Especially, well, no, all three of them. Not even just Bebop and Rocksteady, but just more Bebop, Rocksteady, and Shredder. Let them be the villains of this film. Let them carry this film, and then have Krang be like the Thanos or Dark Side type of vibe, where you get a big reveal of him at the end, and you're like, oh my god, Krang is gonna be in the next film. Finally, we're getting Krang. And then you could have had more development. You could have been right in Dimension X. You could have had way more with the Technodrome. It just would have worked better. All those things are probably going to happen if we get a third film. Don't get me wrong, but I just felt like he didn't need to be in the second film at all. He really just didn't need to be in the second film at all. So the voice of Krang, the look of Krang, fantastic. Krang in the film, not so much. And then the other two really minor niggles that I can even really remember were Casey Jones making a joke about the turtles' names being pretentious and stupid, and April O'Neil going, hey, I named them. It's like, really? You're going to give us so many good things and help us so much to forget about the first film and all the things we didn't like about it. Don't remind us that you freaking named the freaking turtles in this universe. No, get that bad taste out of my mouth. No. But yeah, they shoehorned it right back in there. And then the other thing was they had 3 fragments of the portal device in the film. They had 2 of them being in New York, which made perfect sense, but then they had the third one all of a sudden, for a random reason, be in Brazil. It was just the obligatory, this entire film was filmed in New York City, let's just go somewhere different, just so we can say we did moment, is what that was. But those are the only other things that I have to complain about this movie. Really, the only other thing I didn't mention yet, that I just realized I haven't mentioned yet, was we got the full-on turtle van in this film, and it's fantastic. They do fantastic things with it. It looks fantastic on the inside. The flying manhole covers, the giant nunchucks from Michelangelo, everything about it was spot on. Oh, and then the one other little tiny bay moment was when Michelangelo is in that Halloween parade. He has a dude cosplaying Bumblebee, and he makes the Transformers sound to Bumblebee. So it's like, yeah, this is from the same guy who made all those modern Transformers that people supposedly love. So that was the only other minor niggle, but all in all, it's still not enough to change my rating at all. I still give this a solid 8 out of 10. I love this movie. I actually did. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I didn't just like it. I actually really, really love this film. So if you haven't seen it yet, see it. If you went all the way through this review and haven't seen the film, I don't know why you'd want to know everything about the film before seeing it. But yeah, if I haven't convinced you by now, that's my final say, is see this movie. It's full of cowabunga-filled awesomeness. So with that, thanks as always to my financial supporters, Burge, Odan, and Jan. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to become a financial supporter of the Razman's Reality yourself, I can't use third-party platforms due to a snag with being disabled, so you just can donate directly to my PayPal. No matter how big or small, it all goes right back into the show, and you can reach me at PayPal, or through PayPal rather, at razmansreality@gmail.com, just like it is here with Gmail at the end. It doesn't get any more simple or straightforward than that. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.